So good evening. Thank you for this great introduction, and thank you, Jenny and Jennifer and Andy and all of you and Kenny for this fantastic invitation. We are very glad to be here and to spend some time with all of you. We will talk about some projects. So we will go, very practical. And you start.
Okay.
On this side.
What
okay.
do we do? Okay. Okay. So, thank you for these amazing presentations. The quote was fantastic. I think it perfectly fits what we want to explain, and also our point of departure, which is this building in Venice, of course. It looks like, or it may pass as a 16th century Venetian palazzo, like a Cadoro style palazzo. But this building is actually in drag, because it's a 1916 concrete building. It's the first building in concrete to be constructed on the Venice island. And it's also the first cinema theater of the island. Here we can see an archival photo. It's not evident yet, but the walls of this building are frescoed by 5 artists from the Capesaro school. But then the building, which is really not only a drag building, but also a trans building, because it changes a lot of identity. It has changed a lot of identities along its history. Was first a cinema, then a porn cinema, and then it was transformed into one of the venues of the Ca' Foscari University. So all its frescoes were covered by temporary walls. The frescoes were even damaged by this intervention from a public institution. And the space then remained closed for almost 10 years, so it was not accessible. And then a company acquired the building and transformed it into a supermarket. Surprisingly enough, they were extremely respectful of the space, so they invested in the renovation of the building, or in the restoration, of the frescoes. And also they hired an architect who designed this furniture with never attached to the walls. So it's not, it's a very light, let's say, display of all the merchandise. This, do you want to say something? No. This building and this transformation, of course, have risen a lot of concerns because the population perceived it as a public good, a public space, even if this space was never public, really. And that's why, starting from this question, is this building public? How could we, as curator, leave this space as public, even if it's not? We decided to curate a show which was titled the Hillary Clinton Emails by Kenneth Goldsmith.
This is the problem. Which is a show that it's really about public domains. In this case, the domain was the Hillary Clinton emails, which were the emails that Hillary Clinton sent from her own account, private account, and that were some way part of this so-called email gate. So basically, all the emails, since they were like controversial, they were all some way preserved by the Department of State and then made public to PDFs that were online. And then WikiLeaks leaked them, and then Kenneth Goldsmith came out with the idea of printing all of them and looking at them like a sort of epic poem. And I mean, the idea came from Kenneth, who was working for many decades on the idea of uncreative writing. So basically, the idea was working on is like to bring the ready-made to literature. So all the the taboos of literature, like copying and pasting, became like the center of what Kenneth was doing, and starting from this very point. The idea of like printing on the emails and then make them public in an exhibition was very problematic. We couldn't find a place that was, I mean, nobody was, I mean, they were all very scared. All the museums were extremely scared about the sensitivity of the topic. And basically we invented this, I mean, created this connection between the Venice, this special building, the Teatro Italia, and the Hillary Clinton emails. And we invented this sort of ghost pavilion, strange pavilion for the Venice Biennale. So the space was, I mean, we activated at least three levels of the space. The first is the cinema theater, so the cinema theater that was there in the past. And then the gondolas. The gondolas are these three, let's say, lines, these three shelves that are in the middle of the space. And then, so where the products are, like, let's say, displayed. And then the balcony. The balcony was, I mean, looking at the theater. So this balcony was never, I mean, it was always private, very private. It was like a sort of storage for the supermarket. And we decided, I mean, we started this conversation with the company, and actually we convinced them to use the space and to invest on the project. So basically, the company never worked on contemporary art, and we initiated them to this kind of project. We had like some sort of long process of discussion, but basically the idea was, I mean, the way we convinced them was based on this fantasy of building up a White House on the top of the supermarket. So we started working on this replica of the White House, a very lo-fi replica of the White House, a very imperfect ready-made of the White House, based on what we knew about the environments. So the Blue Room, the Resolute Desk, the Oval Office, all these elements were studied according to certain epochs, mostly related to the Clinton time. And basically we reproduced some of the elements, making them like very lo-fi again. So these are like, you know, the Noctes, I mean, these are very poor replicas of the
IKEA version of a White House, let's say.
Yeah. And then we studied all these, I mean, the emails. We started like working with Kenneth about the visualization of the email and the way they could take shape in the space. And then, of course, all the imagery around the Resolute Desk was disclosed in our mind. And we discovered that many of the replicas were built in Indonesia. We found some of them there. And then we worked on on the symbols that were present in the rows and all this furniture, and we tried to some way erase all the elements, all the symbols from the. So we made them like some sort of more conceptual works. So all the rugs were like emptied, and these are like, you know, shelves. All the elements that were from screens were translating into objects that then took shape in the space. This is like a marble table that became a table made of the patterns coming from the emails. This is again the blue room. This is a Bélanger sofa, a very important sofa that you find in the blue room, and it was translated into this kind of patterns, and voila.
Yeah.
Change.
Then maybe we found a way to move. Yeah. Cool. Then, as you know, Kenneth Goldsmith is also the founder of UbuWeb, ubu.com, probably the largest shadow archive for art, films, and videos, and avant-garde poetry. So we printed one part of his website on the gondolas, and especially all the names of the artists that he collected in the archive. And we also projected some films at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7 p.m. Every day. Some videos and films from the archive were projected on the original screen of the space. So we reactivated the first identity of the building. But of course, the main piece is the display of the emails. The emails were displayed in two different ways. The first one is a minimal cube, so you can feel the exact quantities of messages exchanged between Hillary Clinton and her staff, about 30,000 sheets of paper, and you can see how also all the information is redacted in some parts. It's really they really looks like visual poetry or conceptual poetry. And then there was a second room where all the emails were bound into books that were readable by everyone. And here you see the cinema theater reactivated. So you have a view from the balcony. The company participated in the entire production of the exhibition, so we hijacked somehow their usual production chain. They produced for us also the guidebooks for the exhibition. We employed the same format of their leaflets for offers and discounts. So we tried really to use all their sources, and then we also produce a catalog, which is a selection of the best 200 emails written by Hillary. Then this sort of fake and real space started to be activated in weird ways. So one of the first people to ever see the show, strangely enough, was Rose McGowan, the actress who started made the Me Too movement popular. Then we had Lee Ranaldo from Sonic Youth, and also we started to organize lectures. So we activated the second identity of the space. We started a collaboration with Ca' Foscari University in Venice and ZHDK in Zurich. And thanks to them, we had a series of lectures on Wittgenstein from one side, and Paul Preciado also lectured in the space, sitting at the Resolute desk as if he was the President of the United States. What's funny is that the supermarket was active when he was talking, and so there were a lot of noises from people absolutely uninterested in having Paul Preciado with us talking.
Wow, change again. So yeah, we activated the cinema many times, and I mean, really, it was a sort of avalanche. The space started to be like something in the city, sort of institution that never existed before, and even, I mean, at different levels. I mean, someone was there just to briefly stay and take a look to the emails, or even take a picture on the Resolute desk. Otherwise, it was, I mean, someone was very into that, and someone else was coming for the lectures. I mean, it was like a very different kind of people were coming. But then someone else came, and it's like, of course, Hillary Clinton. I mean, we never invited her, so I mean, we decided not to invite her. But basically, studying all the furniture that we showed you before, we were in contact with their entourage. But I mean, again, it was really a very discreet conversation. But then at some point, I mean, the exhibition had a huge, let's say, resonance on media. And so at some point in September, someone came to the show and spent like 1 hour asking to our guides, our interns and our staff, what's going on, what was our position, what was the position of Kenneth Goldsmith. I mean, she was investigating. And then she had our email, and of course, by email, she contacted us. And we actually organized the private tour to the show. So the show exploded, and we had this. So this is, I mean, just a little story that some way can explain how we like to navigate between real space, communication strategies, and you know, also perversion. This is basically what we and again, it's very interesting because in this case the project happened in a very controversial and ambiguous space, which is the space of the market. But this space of the market was the only space of freedom for us. So this kind of unexpected freedom is something that we want to keep from the market.
Yeah, the market is called free market for what reason, maybe? Or at least we tried to free the market, to free the free market, let's say. And what was interesting for us was not, of course, making a political statement pro or against Hillary, but rather studying the grammar of political communication in the digital age. And we were also interested in engaging in a power battle. Because, of course, Hillary Clinton actively tried and sometimes succeeded in transforming the show into propaganda for herself. But at the same time, she was seated on a fake Resolute desk, reading her own emails. So a certain strange temporality opened up in front of us. This image speaks about a world that could have happened, but it didn't. Speaks about a possibility. It's fake and real at the same time. It's a performance and it's reality at the same time. it's public space and private space at the same time. We like to play very much with this ambiguity, because both the usual behaviors of the people in the supermarket and the art people coming to the show was interrupted. In this sense, this undecidable space was a mean for us to interrupt the usual habits related to consumption.
We go to 40 probably. Maybe.
To 40?
I don't know, because we have...
No, it's okay.
We have time? Okay. We have time.
Yeah,
okay.
maybe only the
Okay, okay. So we talk about another project, we go somewhere else. In this case, we go to the Lofoten Islands. So it's an archipelago right above the Arctic Circle. So we are really up north. And we curated this biennial, which is the longest running biennial in Scandinavia. And it basically, this is where you can some way locate this event. And it happened during the pandemic. So basically, we've been invited to do a show in this very remote place during the pandemic, which was even a challenge that they could even not imagine. I mean, we had to spend like 2 weeks in COVID hotels before getting there. I mean, it was really very tricky. So we invented like a method in order to some way create a community even in this sort of like very fragmented condition of isolation. And so we started by, envisioning a very specific image, which was a literary image of the Arctic, which was based on the fact that a group of people, particularly Mary Shelley and all her entourage, John Polidori, Lord Byron, and so on and so forth, they, during the cholera pandemic, they met all together and they spent like the summer of 1816 in Villa Dodati, a place close to Geneva, where they, had like in order to avoid the problems related to the pandemic, they spent the time together and they challenged each other to write novels and read books. And they read this book called Fantasmagoriana. From this very book, two of the main monsters of our literary times came out. On one side, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, and on the other, the vampire, Polidori vampire. And so we started from this story, and in order to work on our Fantasmagoriana. So Fantasmagoriana was a show that was putting together a group of artists in different regions around this idea of the monsters of our times. And it's a complex story. There are many artists involved, and Jennifer again. And but the very center of the story became also very practical, in the sense that we decided to locate the show, let's say the headquarters of the show, in a school like this, let's say, but in the north. And it's a film school. It's the NFKS, and basically we with the students studying there, we created a research group that followed us along the entire path of the Biennale, and then we activated a series of commissions, and in many different places. So we had this pavilion somewhere in the island. There were like scientists studying microzooplankton that hosted two artists in their boat in the Barents Sea, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. So the sharing a narrative with the artist was a way to be connected in a time where being connected was impossible. And also we started researching on communities whose relationships were based on isolation, like these scientists, for instance. And one community was again located in Venice. We wanted to organize a preview of the LIAF biennial once again in Venice. So we wanted to create a David and Goliath situation, one very small, isolated biennial proposing itself in the house of the first and biggest biennial in the world. And we decided to locate this preview, our pavilion, in a very special place, which is this one. It's the parlor of the Giudecca Women's Prison, so an active prison located in an island in front of Venice. In order to access this space and to work with this community, we started a long process of negotiation and discussion with all the parties forming the community of the prison. So not only the inmates, but also the guards, the director, and of course the people working in the cooperative for the reintegration of the inmates into society. And especially thanks to one of these cooperatives, Rio Terra dei Pensieri, we were able to identify a space which everybody thought that needed some renovation and improvement. So a common space on which everybody agreed, and this space was exactly this parlor. As you can see, we were not allowed to take many pictures of the space, of course, so this one is one of the rare pictures we have. As you can see, this space was in terrible conditions, very sad green, terrible lightings, and you have to imagine that this is the only space where inmates can meet someone, lawyers, their children, their relatives, and it's also the only space where the outside meets the inside of the institution. So it's a sort of a membrane. We invited German-French artist Pauline Courret-Jardin to start a workshop with a group of volunteer inmates, and we selected Pauline because she already had a practice based on working with a specific group of women, so she was able to understand this special condition of work. So she started a workshop which included the communal vision of films, and it was a drawing workshop. Pauline started from an historical element, an historical fact. You have to imagine that the prison was located into a convent where former prostitutes were forced to go once they concluded their career in Venice. So they were isolated from society. And not only prostitutes, but also women who were considered too beautiful and a trouble for society. This space had a very long history of seclusion for women. From the 16th century, there were few moments where these nuns were allowed to pervert the rules of the clerical institution. Especially during Carnival, they were allowed to organize theatrical shows, even dressing in drag. Really creating something that it's hard to think it belongs to a religious institution. So Pauline started telling this story to the inmates in order to slowly approach their own condition of seclusion and imprisonment. So starting relating, putting the history of these nuns in relation with the present condition of the women participating in the workshop. Little by little, Pauline translated their drawings into a mural space, which then became this multimedia space. And also all the equipment you see was donated to the institution, so they can organize and self-organize activities in this space. Once again, our interest was on thinking about what a public space is, because a prison is surely a public space. It's hard to think about it as a public space since it's inaccessible for many, but it is a public institution, and we really wanted to then create a public artwork which was inaccessible for the most part of people and dedicated to a specific community. And in this sense, we thought a lot about how to open this space during the biennial. And together with, in dialogue with the director of the institution, we decided to open the space only to a very limited number of people, especially journalists, able to tell the story and spread the stories of the inmates and this community outside. Strangely enough, a long line of people, of art people, started forming during the opening day of the project, and so we really wanted to revert this FOMO that the art world usually has, and using it to drag attention to the condition of prisons in Italy. So it was extremely strange and uncanny to see people truly wanting to enter a prison, and even trying to claim their entitlement as museum directors or important collectors, not understanding the procedures regulating the institution. So once again, we wanted to interrupt usual behaviors, coming both from reality and the art world.
Yeah, what was very interesting here is that the show was really, I mean, the artwork is still there. We don't go there. We go there sometime. We miss it sometime because we had like this incredible time with the inmates and with the community of people, even with the guards. I mean, they became part of our life for more than 1 year. and then we left the work. And this is a sort of abandonment that you can do when you do when you embrace a different dimension of an artwork, which is not like the physicality of a piece, but most this auratic dimension that is also made of this narrative. And again, we can go back to the story of the beginning of Fantasmagoriana. So this was, let's say, the core of Fantasmagoriana, creating a story that then was built together through the writers that entered the prison, and also to the people that could not access, that were freaking out in the line, and all these kind of elements were part of this narration, and they empowered this drawing, all the screens, all the elements there, making like a sort of new fantasy on the space. Voila. Now we'll skip all the part of the show in the Lofoten, which is very interesting, but we cannot go so far. Okay, and then we go somewhere else in another project, which is like a more editorial project that again came out from a long process. And this is Fuori. The original Fuori is actually just with an exclamation point, but we reinforced let's say the exclamation, and basically we have to go back. So the book was published in 2021, yeah, and then so 10 years before we did a project in Venice again in a building. In a foundation, and basically we were commissioned to do a show about let's say the legacy of aging gay, trans, queer people. So basically people in their 70s, 80s that were some way losing their own memories, and and for strange reasons in that moment the municipality of Venice had like very brilliant people working there, so they wanted to work on the preservation of this kind of heritage, and they invited us to work on it. So we did a workshop that lasted like 1 year, and we put together a group of artists coming from different backgrounds. Not all of them were very into queer history. And we basically started working on studying and meeting these people. So we had a series of basically dinners and lunches. And from these kind of meetings, the show came out. So we transformed the foundation into a cinema theater. And the show was all around the theater. It was like inspired by a film, an important film by Taiwanese filmmaker Tsai Ming-liang, Goodbye Dragonin. So the very center of the show was really the periphery. And there were like many works that came out from this relationship with oblivion and memory. And there was also an archive that we made together with this group of people, and it was made just with personal objects and books, publication that they preserved for decades and they never showed. And so basically we put together all these elements in a very private public archive. And yeah, this is like for instance, the lesbian part was very interesting, made of books, especially books and VHS. And there were also very personal elements, so pictures from trips, and also, you know, many books that were some way, they marked the personal stories of the people involved. So it was really a process that came from the personal and then was turned into something more political. And there are also, you know, all the magazines of different times, and also, you know, some interesting landscapes related to batouage. many things. This is like the Nureyev yes,
Pants.
underwear.
Someone stated that he had an encounter with Rudolf Nureyev, so he brought these pants, claiming that, yeah, we are not sure it's true, but it's a good story anyway.
Yeah, and so we decided to exhibit them, and these are all elements in the show. Also, like very national magazines that were like very with horrible titles, and then the Fuori. The Fuori was let's say the magazine that started in the 70s and from a group of people from Turin that decided to, let's say, also respond to the many initiatives that happened all over the world, particularly in the US, with something like, all this kind of the gay sunshine.
What is the translation of out? So they really took inspiration from out for making Fuori.
So basically we showed all the issues of Fuori for the first time, and this became, a very magnetic field for the show. All the people spend most of the time in that part. And it was really something that it's incredible, because even if the Fuori was it was, let's say, a common magazine, it was not that diffused. People were super scared about sharing it in the past, so it was really something that just the community kept, and so it became really an historical document, and exhibiting it really reactivated a flux of memories which was really unexpected.
Yeah, Italy at that time was not so liberal, let's say. So you don't have to imagine that people knows about queer history as maybe they know here. So Fuori was somehow forgotten even inside the community. Discovering it was truly a discovery even for the LGBT community. Or for many belonging to the community. And for instance, the exhibition, some journalists from national TV came to film the show, but the news was censored by national television, and it was 2012. So imagine how times have changed, luckily enough. But then, 10 years later, we came back on this incredible magazine and its history, and we printed a collection of numbers of the first issues of the Fuori. As you can see, the book is big, so we wanted it to be monumental, and it is monumental not only because it's the exact size of the original issues, but also because we really wanted to print a sort of Bible, a sort of huge sculptural manifesto of how the LGBT movement started in Italy. We decided to focus on a specific time frame, so we published the issues from 1971 to 1974, because in those years were the only year where the movement stayed cohesive. So on the pages of Fuori, women and men and later transgender people wrote together. Then in 1974 there was a sort of schism, so some members of the Fuori decided to be affiliated with the Italian Communist Party, and some of them decided to get affiliated to the Radical Party. The original group divided, and this division is still marking the history of the movement in Italy nowadays. So you can see some pages from the Fuori. As you can see, is written. The founders of the magazine decided to go against the pornographic, let's say, imaginary associated to LGBT groups. So you can read the very dense theoretical essays on Fuori, and they really invented the language for the movement. The last number, the last issue we published is a special issue called Fuori Donna, Fuori Women, Out Women, only dedicated to the relationship between feminism and lesbianism. So our selection also portrays the evolution, the internal evolution of the movement until this dramatic separation. Right?
The book had a long tour, so we presented it in so many occasions. I mean, we had a song that came out from the Fuori. A DJ recorded one of the presentations we did, and he came out with a song. And then we had an exhibition that was dedicated to the first manifestation that happened in Italy with the launch of Fuori. Which is called, it is the, I mean, you can see some images here. And then it was portrayed in a Fratino painting. So it really became something. I mean, it won some prizes. I mean, it was really this kind of book that had a lot of resonance. And then one of the, let's say, the other culmination of the book was the last fashion show by Alessandro Michele for Gucci. Again, it could sound very controversial in the sense that we did this collaboration with the brand. They came out, they proposed us to do, I mean, since the book became so popular, Alessandro contacted us and asked to do something for his fashion show. And we were skeptical at the beginning, of course, but then we decided to use it. So we had a good agreement in the sense that we asked him to invest on the original foundation, so the Fuori Foundation, which is in Turin. And so they had to put a lot of money on them, and in order to help them to preserve their archive. And not only that, we had the possibility to reprint the book. The book was sold for nothing. The price was $28. So it really, this big book was completely dysfunctional in terms of market. It was really, I mean, a coffee table book for nothing. And yeah, we show you the fashion show. What it is?
Quello. So once again, for us, wasn't important. It was fun to be in a fashion show, but it was not the point. And first of all, you have to think that an international corporation such as Gucci, for this kind of corporation, putting the word homosexual on a t-shirt is a risk in market terms. They sell worldwide, also in countries which are not so liberal. So the first point is this one, but also we decided to embrace this collaboration because we really wanted to diffuse a story that was hidden. So once again, to use the market, to use all its channels as a way for spreading another aesthetic, another kind of history. Maybe we succeeded, maybe not, but we surely fought. Thank you.